From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Hey, good Monday evening to you all. I'm Jessica Ralston, and tonight on Open Line, I've been tweeting about it, hoping that you're watching and joining, and hoping you're going to call in with your questions and comments. We're talking about the ever so controversial AMP project in Nashville. So whether you are pro-AMP or anti-AMP, make sure you call and let us know what you think. The number is right there on your screen at 737+. Let's get to our guests now. Joining us tonight is Rick Williams from StopAMP.org. Thanks for being here again. He's the chairman of that group. And then Bob Colton is the executive director of the West End Business Association. So thanks to you both for being here.
Glad to be here.
All right. Now, unfortunately, I was on vacation last week, so I wasn't here for the other side of this. But last Monday, we had Burt Matthews, who's the chairman of the AMP Citizens Advisory Committee, and then also Steve Goodrow, who's also been here before, principal with the engineering consulting firm CDM Smith, overlooking the AMP project. Burt talked about the role of the Citizens Advisory Committee and all this. Steve talked about the proposed route for the AMP. There have been some changes for that route in the proposal. So we do know that the Citizens Advisory Committee is made up of people both for and against the AMP. So what do you all think of the group?
Well, I think it's a nice group. I think certainly some of the people on that committee are very well versed on the plan, and others I think are getting up to speed and starting to make some input. So I think it's a good idea to have such a group and have an open discussion.
There you go. Absolutely. What do you think?
I agree with Bob. It's a good group of people. The only thing that I would question is that it didn't seem like the mayor could find anybody that owned property or owns a business on West End to put in the group. So you would think if at least a good three miles, I guess, would be, or 2 miles of the route is on West End, you would think at least one property owner or one business owner could be included out of, what, 24 people? So, I would think, and so, obviously the West End group don't feel like they have a lot of input. And Bob's the executive director. He can tell you how the business owners feel out there. Yeah,
and we're definitely going to get to again, because of course part of that route includes so many businesses worried about the traffic pattern changing and how it would affect their business, because we already know that traffic on the West End and getting to businesses is already difficult enough as it is. All right, already we have a couple callers tonight, so we're going to start here first with James. Hi, James. Thanks for calling in. What's your question or comment?
Good evening. My comment is, before you try to initiate an AMP system, you should try to straighten out the system that is currently in place. It takes a long time to go from, say, I live in Madison, I have to go to town to go out Nolensville Road, Murfreesboro Road. You should straighten that out first.
You have anyone
I'd like
comment?
to take that.
Sure.
I never knew I'd know so much about public transportation in Nashville, but once I got involved in this, I've learned a lot. One of the biggest complaints now of the riders that ride it is the fact there's less, that they don't have the ability to move around. It takes so much time to go from, that gentleman I think's in Madison, so he has to come down all the way to downtown Nashville in the heart of the city and catch another bus to go back out. And a lot of the riders have said, why don't they have something on, say, have a bus running just around Briley Parkway and have stops at all the major streets, so that way they come to Briley, they go around, and maybe they catch West End or somewhere on the west side of town, and do something where people move around. They don't take 2 hours to get to work, or 2.5 hours. That's why they don't have more ridership. So, and maybe smaller buses, at certain times of the day, because up and down West End, Bob's witnessed this, helping the businesses. There are not a lot of riders on the buses, so maybe they need to do smaller buses at certain periods of time. I don't know the answer, but I agree with the caller. There needs to be some improvement in the current system.
Okay, all right. Do you have any reaction to that?
I hear that there are people that feel like you can have a lot more efficient systems than we currently have. I don't claim to have any expertise in that area, but I think we could probably make it a little smoother.
Okay, all right. Well, James, do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, it's just like I said, the current system, you don't have customer service after a certain hour. So if you have any issues, like once before, a couple of years ago, they had a bomb threat or something downtown, and I was out on Charlotte, and there was no way I could find out why there was no buses running. because there was no one to speak with, and everybody out there just had to stay out there until the bus showed up, which was like 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening before they started running again after they cleared the issue out. And that's another thing. That's part of the program that needs to be addressed, as well as the long rides. I mean, it takes an hour to go from here, from Madison from Madison to Antioch and back. It's going to take me over an hour to do that.
Okay. Well, I know a lot of people, and go ahead and respond, but a lot of people have similar complaints. We've heard that time and again.
Yeah, I wanted to tell him, though, they in defense of the MTA, they are developing an app for the phones that people will be able to track their bus just like they do Uber cars.
Yeah. Oh.
And I hear the MTA has it in development. I don't know where they are with it, but he might want to check with MTA and see what, because supposedly they're going to have a transit app you can push, and you can see when your bus, and if there's a problem, you'll be noted on there. You'll know what's going on. So hopefully they'll get that. Hopefully they'll get that done.
That's great. And you would wonder if the regular taxi cab companies around here would follow suit too, because one of the great benefits of Uber is that you know exactly when your driver is going to pick you up, who the driver is, what kind of car they're coming in. So it's a pretty fascinating system, an app to be able to use on your smartphone. All right, James, thank you so much for your call tonight. We appreciate it.
Okay, you have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Thank you. And we did have another caller, Chris, who is actually pro-AMP, and somehow we lost him. So, Chris, if you're still watching, please make sure you give us a call back. We'd love to hear your side, too. Talk about your role in all of this. As I said, just as a regular driver, not even a bus user, we all know we love the businesses on the West End, but it's already a struggle sometimes to get out there, to find a place to park, and to get where you need to go. So, and you mentioned not any business owners being involved in the Citizens Advisory Committee, which obviously is an important aspect, that you have to have the people who this is directly affecting, get involved.
Well, I think the first thing is that the business owners and the people that work on West End, they need to have a voice that's going to be heard in this matter. There is no group in this whole city or this whole county that has more at stake than the people that work on West End. It's not that they just drive on the street, they work there.
Right.
And there is an overwhelming majority. As a matter, there was a survey taken, and that was one of the things that we organized to do, is to get real numbers and see who was for and who was against the AMP. And the results were pretty astounding. 97% against. So the next question would be, well, why are so many people against it? And there are probably 3 primary reasons that I hear over and over and over again, and that is under the AMP system they would take away 2 of the lanes, one inbound, one outbound, and take that away from the cars, and you've got roughly 45,000 cars a day traveling on West End on 3 lanes. So what do you do when you take away one of those lanes? So the primary reason, or one of the primary reasons, is increased congestion on West End is not going to be good for business. The next thing that is a problem for them is that probably through 90% of the route down West End, you cannot take left turns.
Yes.
You're unable to make left turns.
We know.
So if I'm going down West End and I'm thinking about going to a restaurant on the left-hand side, and I can't make a left turn, maybe I'll go 2 blocks till I can take a left turn and go to a different restaurant.
I know. It's frustrating.
And I think these guys on West End, and there's some fantastic restaurants there, they have a lot of competition from downtown because they're really good restaurants going on downtown. So they're competing with those people, and they certainly don't want drivers having to pass them by to go downtown when they could have them on West End. And I think the third primary objection is that a lot of people that have witnessed construction on a major thoroughfare estimate that business falls off as much as 50%. And 50% loss of business, and the construction period, they say, might take 2 years. A lot of people will either move or go out of business.
Okay. Obviously some major concerns, and again, things that we've heard several times over. Greg has called in tonight. Hi, what do you have to say, Greg?
Hey, Yeah, I'd like to just say that, I guess the main objective of this is to get people to get back and forth to work, and for people to be able to traffic to flow much smoother in town and downtown and around the city. And two very simple solutions that could happen this week is, one, just abolish the carpool lane so we have that extra lane to drive back and forth to work in the morning instead of one less lane. And number two would be just to simply program the signal lights to turn green as the traffic flows through town, instead of the other way around, to where when a light turns green, the very next light you come to turns red.
Yes.
It can easily be programmed to turn green, to where you could you just think a simple flow of traffic coming in town in the morning and a simple flow of traffic going out of town, just by reprogramming the signal lights.
Agreed. I know there's a couple on Charlotte that get me every time. There's not a lot of distance between them, and the one is green, and that next one right in front of you turns red, and it's pretty frustrating. So,
and I think the main reason for that is because the state makes money off of gasoline taxes. So the last thing they truly want us to do is to get good gas mileage. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Otherwise, why wouldn't we just simply program the signal lights to turn green so we don't stop and go all day?
Okay.
Actually, I think some of Nashville has signalization coordinated. I'm not sure which ones, and I think some of West End does. I know I've been able to catch West End when it's not a lot of congestion, a lot of green lights. So I'm not sure which streets in Nashville. I know years ago, I'm a native here, and I know years ago they did some synchronization of signals. I'm not sure if that's still in effect or not, but I feel like the automobile sometimes is under assault, because if you look at what they just did to Church Street, they took away a lane in each direction in favor of bicycle lanes on Church Street. Now, I'm not sure what the turn lane's for, because I can't turn off the bridge, but if you go down Church Street now, there's a turn lane all across the bridge. I'm not sure where I'm turning, but now you just have one lane in each direction, where probably a month ago you had two lanes in each direction. Now you have a nice bicycle lane. Yeah. And that's good and fine, except there's probably one bicycle an hour for thousands of cars. Yeah. And so it doesn't really equate the bicycle lane, the ridership, versus number of cars in traffic. So.
Okay. All right. Well, good feedback already, and we're going to talk about some of the changes that the mayor announced in April for the AMP and dig a little bit deeper into this. So we are talking AMP, and feel free to call us 737+. We'll gladly take your calls, your questions, and comments, whichever side of the battle you are on, and we'd love to hear from you. So we'll be back in just a minute.